Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of 21 Hunting and Fishing. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about land navigation, particularly azimuths. Two different types of azimuths that you should be aware of when you are land navigating with a map, compass, and protractor. The first one is an escape azimuth. The escape azimuth is a direction that's going to lead you to some known map feature. It's kind of in the name. You're kind of getting turned around. You need to just get out of wherever you are, but you may be not too sure where you're at. So the target for an escape azimuth is going to be something that is probably big, like a road or a railroad or something that you will just run into kind of no matter where you're at. And I'll show you an example in a second. And the other one is a back azimuth. Back azimuth is an azimuth that's just in the opposite direction of whichever way you're going. And I'll show you a trick using back azimuths, how to triangulate your position on a map using a map, compass, and protractor. But first, something we want to talk about is the escape azimuth. Escape azimuth is something that will lead you to a known feature on the map. Like I said, a good target would be like maybe a really big building, some sort of intersection, roads, railroads, streams, rivers, something that's going to lead you to something else. And that is kind of like a catch-all. So, for example, let's pretend you were somewhere uh, over in this area on the map. A good escape azimuth would be 90 degrees, so directly east. Why? Because no matter where you are around here, if you just walk directly east, you're eventually going to get to this road. And once you're at this road, if you were parked up here, you just start heading north to get back to your car. What would not be a good escape azimuth would be, say, if you were over here in 207 degrees west. So you would just keep walking, 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 walking. You never run into anything. Another one might be north, or maybe just a northeast, but just kind of having a number in your head that, hey, if I am generally over in this area and I point my compass directly east, I'm going to walk into a road, or maybe directly north, depending on kind of which way you came. So if I'm coming from this parking lot and I'm working around here, I'd probably have a north direction uh, back azimuth. I'm sorry, escape azimuth. Going south, I'm not going to go. I'm just going to keep walking. So again, it's something on the map that will be easily identifiable when you get there. Roads are really great. The next thing I want to talk about can be a little bit more complicated than that is back azimuth. Back azimuth is just a direction in the opposite direction in which way you were going. So say you were coming from this parking lot, walking due south, while back azimuth would be due north. So how do you get back azimuth? You can look on your protractor. The red numbers here are back azimuth, or you just add or subtract 180 degrees. So if you are walking, say, 5 degrees, you want to add 180 degrees. If you're walking at, say, 355 degrees, you want to subtract. And how do I know if I add or subtract? Well, there's 360 degrees in a circle, so if you're getting a number that is greater than 360 degrees, try subtracting instead of adding. But protractors typically have the corresponding back azimuth on them. Why else would you want to use a back azimuth other than just changing direction completely and heading back to directly where you were coming from? Well, you can use back azimuths to triangulate your position on a map. So let's use an example. So zoomed in a little bit. Let's say you are still over in this area and you see, but you don't know quite where you're at. You got turned around, especially this can really happen at night when it starts getting dark. If you're chasing a deer, next thing you know, you really might not know where you're at, especially since you're focused on something else and you're losing your sense of direction. So in this case, I'm over here somewhere and it's a bit elevated and I can see a parking lot. And so I use my compass to shoot a magnetic azimuth directly to that parking lot. What do I get? I got 56 degrees. Now I'm using the protractor just to kind of show you the general angle, but you're going to get that off your compass, right? So that's 56 degrees magnetic. I know my declination diagram. I have to subtract 5 degrees to get grid. So that's 51 degrees grid azimuth. So now I want the back azimuth of that. So that would be 51 plus 180 equals 231. So let me just walk through that again. I shoot a magnetic azimuth of 56 degrees. I subtract 5 degrees for the GM angle. 56 minus 5 equals 51. Now I want the back azimuth of 51. So that would be 51 plus 180 equals 231. So now what I do, this line is at a 231 degrees. And I draw it straight through whatever feature I'm looking at. So you have to know what you're looking at. Again, using your map, find something that's easily identifiable. So I just draw this map. I physically draw a line on my map through the thing I'm looking at 231 degrees. That line doesn't really tell you much yet. So how do you make more sense of this? You just do another back azimuth to another known feature on the map that you can observe. So let's do that. Well, there's another parking lot over here, so maybe I see a bunch of cars right here, and I make the assumption that that's this parking lot on the map. There's only 2 parking lots. I can see them. And so I shoot another magnetic azimuth with my compass to another known point. In this case, it's about a 95 degrees magnetic, but I need to convert that to grid. So it'd be 95 minus 5. So 95 degrees magnetic minus the 5-degree GM angle equals a 90-degree grid azimuth. So then I want a back azimuth of the 9 degrees, so I add the 180, so that's 270, so basically a flat line. That would be right here, this green one. I draw it through the parking lot and then just keep drawing until it crosses these lines. So if your lines don't cross, just keep drawing them longer. And this point right here is where you're located. So now that you know where you're located, you can navigate to wherever you are. Maybe you don't want to go to these parking lots, but these are just happen to be easily identifiable features. Maybe you need to head somewhere south or wherever, but from here that you can then use your map compass protractor to make azimuth to wherever you want to go. Maybe you're trying to get back to here, something of that effect. So that's how you use back azimuths to triangulate your position to plot yourself on the map so you know where you're at. So there you are. You're there where those lines cross. And if you aren't sure you're doing it right, take another azimuth. You could find another feature on the map. Let's pretend that you can see whatever this is right here, MS, some sort of, I don't know what it is, but let's just pretend you do know what it is, and you take another back azimuth to go through that whole exercise, and that line, it should always cross. If you're doing this exercise correctly, all these lines, you could take 100 of them, but they all, as long as you're doing it correctly and your assumptions are correct on what you're looking at the map, they're always going to intersect where you are on the map. If you get something funky and this line goes something like this and it doesn't intersect with at the same point as these two lines, then you're doing something wrong. Try again. So that was just a quick example of using back azimuths. So we talked about the escape azimuth. It's a magnetic direction to a known feature on the map. Always good to have that number in the back of your head in case you get turned around, and always try to be shooting for a road or something that you will eventually come across. Escape azimuth to a small singular point is not recommended. Back azimuth. Why use a back azimuth? In case you want to return directly to where you just came from, and how to triangulate your position on a map using back azimuths. We talked about the GM angle. We're never going to stop talking about the GM angle as long as we are navigating with a map, compass, and protractor. And we talked about how you can triple check yourself as well. You can draw as many back azimuths on the map as you want, and as long as you're doing it correctly, they will all cross at that same point, and that point is where you're located. I hope you're enjoying this content. That is all for this one, and see you later.